that are by the train, like when you're waiting for the train to come. Did you know the amount of like, is it like liquid that's on the seat? It's, it's so nasty. It's so nasty. Moving forward, what else do we have? We have, oh, okay. So basically we have Brynn's Giving in Brooklyn. Can I tell you that I specifically thought of Sai the other day? Like literally, like I was walking with one of my friends and he it's Grant's Rants. He's done his own podcast for like 7 years. He's on a little bit of a hiatus right now, but he works in the podcast space professionally and with all the big companies. But we were walking the other day. We were on our way to Fort Greene because we wanted to go to the Soul Summit. Oh my gosh, can I tell you? First of all, how fun it was. Second of all, the eye candy. Ooh, 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 ooh. It was hot. It was hot as a summer's day in August. But anyways, the Soul Summit was so fun. And so as we were either walking there or walking back, I can't remember. And that's to say we didn't even drink, but it was still that good of a time, you know. Actually, if we would have drank, it would have been really difficult because I had radio the next morning. You know, I get up at 4 a.m. if I do radio. You know, like I said, I do it on a part-time level, but we're walking and we're talking a little bit about the show, Housewives or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh. I tell my friend Grant, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, this is like the moment like Sai kind of spoke about. It's like, you know, you're walking by these beautiful, we're coming from like Clinton Hill, Brooklyn to Fort Greene. So it's a wonderful walk, wonderful weather. What an amazing Sunday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like what Sai talks about. You walking, and because I think we were actually literally saying out loud, like, oh, I want to live. That's a beautiful brownstone. I want to live there one day. And that is what Sai had mentioned earlier in the season. It's like, you know, that whole thing of like, you could only dream and imagine. And right now, you know, my career, you know, at this particular space is very paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, you know, freelance job to freelance job to freelance job. It won't always be, as I told you, I'm going to be one of the great talk show hosts of my time, but it made me very connected to Sai's experience. You know, Sai saying, this is what I've always wanted. Never would I have imagined it. And by the way, I was just watching, I think it was Hoda, and who does the show with Hoda? It doesn't matter. That Jenna Bush, I don't know. She's not my favorite. I miss Kathy Lee on that show, and Jenna Bush was not the right replacement. And that's just a fact. Anyway, Sai was on that show and she got to showcase her beautiful townhome. And it was just like, you know, this is the aspect of aspirational when it's layered and when it has texture. You know, earlier in the episode, I talked about how a lot of people love Real Housewives of Beverly Hills because it's like the crown jewel and it's aspirational and it's well. It's like all of that's great, but if there's no character or texture to it, it means nothing to me. I'm not impressed. But seeing the way Sai, you know, showcased her home and why every corner, every, you know, light and the ceiling and to the floor, everything meant something to her in some way, both within business, both within how she carries her home and her family. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to see. So look that up. That's the Today Show third hour, Hoda and Jenna, and it should be Hoda and randomly RHONY, if you ask me, because the world would love me. But it was still a cute segment. Okay. And yes. The Soul Summit in Brooklyn was so fun. Actually, these last couple of days, I've been out and about more than usual. Also hit up, not a sports fan whatsoever, but I hit up a Met game recently with my cousin, which was so fun. And it's just been New York City summer, and I'm basking in it. To be honest with you, I would love to turn out more episodes, as I always try to do for this channel, but like, you know, randomly he's living, man. He's out here. No, just trying my best. Okay, moving on to, okay, let's talk about how you do this. I have not always been a shoes off person, but it's one of those things where once you do it once, it's almost impossible to go backwards, right? I have had many of apartment that I didn't make it the rule, even for myself, right? And it's like once you do it once, suddenly like those shoes feel even more nasty the next time if you don't continue on that habit. So here's what I'll say. While it's an amazing habit, I don't know that it needs to be oh God, I'm gonna sound so gross, right? I'm gonna sound like I love a clean home. Like I'm like upset. I'm very Danny Tanner, a full house. Like let's mop the floors and clean everything. I do like that. Obviously, living life gets busy and chaotic, and you can't always keep a clean space. But I feel like, you know why I like a clean space? I'm gonna tell you why. When I had my apartment in Harlem Hamilton Heights area, very tiny studio apartment, that's when I fell in love with cleaning. I'm gonna tell you why. Because when you got a small space, cleaning is of the utmost. It means more than a giant townhouse like Sai, or where Jessa lives, or where Erin lives. I mean, specifically, you want to be neat and tidy and clean and get the germs away no matter what. But when you have a small space, it means so much. And when I had that apartment, it was my own slice of New York City. It was my second, actually technically third New York City apartment, technically fourth New York City apartment, but it was the one that I stayed at for about 3.5 years consistently. And I love that apartment. One of the most transformative apartments, but that's because you kept it super, super clean. And yes, I remember going to friends' houses and they were like, oh, shoes got to come off. And I'm like, but what if my feet were sweaty? What if I was like, running around New York and my feet are sweaty? I necessarily don't want to take my shoes off, but it's even nastier to take all that sludge, all those germs, and run them around the house. Now, I did hear on an interview with Sai, and Sai's doing a podcast actually with a good friend of hers. So go hit her up in the Instagram and the DM and the YouTube streets and whatever, and say, while she's promoting it, she should come promote it on this channel here. Anyways, Sai said that like one of the main reasons was also because she's got a beautiful rug, like a white rug, and she, it's just that the germs is one thing, but also that rug could get dirty. Generally speaking, though, if that wasn't the issue, I don't know that I would be that distraught. Now, living day to day, sure. Hey kids, you got to have the shoes off. Hey husband, you got to have the shoes off. Your family comes to see you, one of your good girlfriends comes to see you, whatever. But when you're having like a get together, I think you have a little bit of leniency, because essentially there is no way everyone comes into the space, has the dinner, you do a little cleaning, and you're not going to be cleaning the floor anyway. You know what I mean? So on one hand, it makes so much sense. Please take your shoes off. But, as I keep telling you, and I'm just going to do it every time, I, of course, have my bias to Erin because, we starred together on the Watch What Happens Live with Candy Burris and Andy Cohen. I'm joking. But I actually do kind of agree with Erin. Like, you can't be that regimented about the shoes coming off. This place is going to get dirty because we're all, having a fun time together. We're cackling, if you will. But yeah, breaking it down, germs, and you bringing all that nastiness into New York. It's the same reason that it's gross when I had a roommate once. Let's just call him all the way out. I had a roommate once, and I don't know if when you're on the train, you put your stuff down. And I think there was a time that I did. Ew, nasty. But you're on the train. Even sitting in the chairs is gross. But anyways, you're on the train. Oh, by the way, I could sit in the chair. I'll give that a pass. But obviously, your outside clothes should probably change when you get inside. But here, whatever. What I cannot do anymore is sit on those the wood chairs that are by the train. Like when you're waiting for the train to come. No. The amount of is it like liquid that's on the seat? It's, it's so nasty. It's so nasty. Okay, I can't even think straight when I'm thinking about how nasty it is. But anyways, I had a roommate once, and I remember, when you're on the train, you sometimes put your backpack on the ground. Oh, I could never anymore. I've done it, but I could never. And I remember this one roommate, he kept his a friend, he kept his room not tidy at all. And me and the other roommate, we're all three of us were friends. He kept a clean room. I kept a clean room. And the friend would come home and he would throw all of his jacket, his backpack, and all these things. I assume, where have they been? In the city. And he would throw it on the couch. The couch where we're going to watch TV and enjoy, TV and have dinner. And I would say, hey, hey friend, why don't you put the mess in your room? And he says, well, my room is dirty. It needs to be clean. So now we get to have your who knows what germs on the couch, and you wonder, you wonder, you wonder why a lot of things are going off within your life. That is no good. That is no good. But anyways, anyone could do what they want to do. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Great for TV because it is true. Those germs on that on the all of New York coming into the house, disgusting. In this case, though, because the women are more affluent, they're none of them are going downstairs. None of them are good getting on the A train. None of them are getting on the G train. You know what I mean? Like they're all in a town car. Like I think it would have been. We have to be honest. I think in this case, it's generally okay, right? And then Erin had the nerve to say, "This is why I love Erin." She had the nerve to say, well, I can't ruin my outfit. And the shoes are 80% of the outfit sometimes. So Erin, way to stand in your truth on that because it's the unpopular opinion for sure. But anyways, I like that I just thought it was a great scene. And Sai goes, it was in the text message, which is kind of great because
Hey, Ronnie Jr.